Alright, this video is about throw-ins and different throw-in strategy. There's a couple kinds of throw-ins that is key. One is spacing. The other one is where the thrower throws the ball to the player, where they hit them in their body or how they lead the play. And the final thing is movement. So let's just start with this. I usually will use either a back or an outside wing to throw the ball in. But if a player's close to the ball and there's an advantage to play the throw quickly, play it quickly, right? Whoever is there, pick it up and throw it. Um, the most common throw, and let's use the dribble icon here, is to throw this ball down the line. Remember, the ball has to be completely, it can't be touching the line at all in order to be out. So you can hit the line, and I literally will try to coach players to throw the ball like on the line, because sometimes it's an advantage because players won't know what's going on. So the idea being that this player knows the ball's coming, they leave space between themselves and the line. The ball is thrown in, and they run down this line to pick that ball up. And as that ball comes in, they come in and they're off to the races. That's strategy one. Strategy two is to throw the ball directly to the player. If you use that strategy, let's say here, the best place for that ball is to either their chest or their feet, but not people throw the ball like right at their midsections, upper thighs. Really hard to control it. You need to have control of the possession. That ball should come into that player, and then if that ball comes into the player in that position here, this player quickly steps onto the field, and that ball can be passed right back to create space. And then this player can move out of that space, and then that ball can immediately be passed down the line, and you're off and running. So that's a to the feet, back to the thrower, player up the line, action takes place that way. So that's another option, it's playing it right to the player, again in a smart way. The third way you can throw the ball in is you can do over the player's head. So you'll have players who can throw the ball pretty significantly well, and they can just go right over this player's head and let them run onto it. So they don't need to throw it down the line and let the ball roll. They will throw it in a loopy pattern, in the air, like whoop over and into the play. And then the final way that you can teach players to throw is what I will call the bounce. And so you might throw it straight into the ground to try to bounce it over the player's head. And that's another option if they don't have as much strength, or if they want to try to draw defenders in and then bounce over the top. Now, who can you throw it to, right? In this scenario, I want you to just kind of see real quick. I don't know if I have a shape that is a triangle. I do. That our goal in soccer is always to make triangles and diamonds. So you can see that we have set up players in a triangle type pattern. The player here is basically going to be opposite the throw. This is going to be, the player back here is the back pass, and the player up here is the top of the diamond in this case. We're trying to make a diamond here, not even a triangle, which I don't know that I have a diamond on my list. So that is what we're trying to set up with good spacing so that we can throw the ball, because then we can literally throw it here. If someone's got a really long throw, they can throw it all the way out here. They can throw it here. They can throw it here, and they can even throw it here. So he makes every single player potentially in the play if they are not marked on the play. So that is the theory. Now the next thing you may do is that if you're kind of what I'll call the X, so I had 8-year-old girls doing this with practice. What I would call the X throw. It was a play we would call, and what would happen is that we would send our opposite player, it was our defensive midfielder, into motion, and we would bring our wing player back to create movement. And as they then passed each other, we would then throw to the person moving to try to throw the kids off, throw the girls that we were playing against off if they were basically man marking the player in the movement. But if this player here doesn't move as this player moves, there's no advantage, and so then it just becomes a normal throw-in at that point. But we would try to create movement that way. Another play we did we would call it V, and V basically said fake like you're going to come back towards the ball and then sprint down the sideline. So it's a V pattern and up, and then we would try to time our throw to land it in the space as they already had momentum and were running, to try to then break out of that space. That was another place we did it. And then we had some players who understood how to throw a really long throw in, and we would just simply basically get this player to kind of set back deeper so they were a little bit more hidden in the play and didn't like they were in it. And then we would run them up as this throw is being made into the space ahead of them to try to catch the defense off guard. But we would basically cheat it by having this player hang back. But we knew which players could do what, and that's one of the strategies for a player to learn and for you to learn as coach. Who can throw the ball, who can throw it far, who has struggles with it, so you can adjust what you're doing, and then you can help them see by basically like, you could yell move, but by saying they may not know what move means. So by using things like what we call X or V, or we could basically, if we knew the throw had a long throw, we basically told them to always go for the person hiding. We didn't tell them that; they would just know that was their play. They basically understand what the movement needs to be instead of you telling them just to move, and they're just like, what? And they just start going like, in a circle right here and not doing anything good. So that's the kind of things to consider on the throwing.